Hi, Ripin. Good evening. Your phone is on mute.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Ripin, I think you're speaking maybe to me, but your phone is on
Yeah,
mute.
yeah. Am I audible to now?
Yes, yes.
Audible to everyone now?
Yes, loud
So,
and clear.
I, Dr. Ripin Kohli, welcome you all on this fifth day of ongoing 6 days ATAL FDP on advancing smart manufacturing. And today we have amongst us Mr. Debashish Ghosh, who is Senior Vice President HR Berkadia Services Pvt Ltd. I welcome you, sir. Mr.
Thank you.
Debashish Ghosh is a senior HR professional with over 2 decades of experience in managing end-to-end functions in HR. Over these years, he has led both national and international organizations and various industries. Organizational transformation and talent management are his areas of expertise. Currently, he is working as Senior Vice President and Country HR Head of Berkadia. An executive alumnus of IIM Calcutta, he has been featured in Forbes India magazine as India's 50 best HR leaders in 2021. He has also been recognized as top 10 most promising leaders 2020 by Silicon India magazine. He is a member of various industry advisory boards and committees of several universities and business schools. Once again, I welcome you, sir, and hope your expertise on the topic will provide valuable insights to the participants and enrich their learning experience. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this very generous introduction. Already you have raised the expectations so high. I'll try my best to live up to the expectations of everyone. But I want to extend my gratitude to everybody who has joined. It's a Friday evening, almost the end of the week. Although I would imagine tomorrow also you all have your colleges and universities, but we work in American company, work 5 days a week. We have a slightly easy life. So it's a weekend for me, almost a weekend for all of you. So thank you for joining. I will share my presentation that I have prepared for all of us to just to lead the discussion to the direction that you all can go to. Um, I intend to maybe speak for 35, 40 minutes, not more than that, because I want to leave some time for some discussions as well. Sessions like these, when I'm addressing very senior people from the academia, I won't pretend to know everything. That'll be foolish on my part. I'm sure I would also learn as much from you as I would from what I have to speak. So let's have a discussion on the topic. And also while I'm kind of giving the sharing my thoughts, you can also put it on the put your thoughts on the chat, ask some questions on the chat. I'll be looking at the chat once in a while as well. So that's how we want to go about. Ripin, can I get started or should we wait for some people to join?
Uh, Sir, you can please start with your
Okay,
presentation.
okay, okay, fine. I'll do that. Just sharing the presentation. If you just let me know once you're able to see it, just a moment. I'll put this in presentation mode. Are you able to see this, everybody? Okay, all right, great. So I've been given a very interesting topic. I know it's been almost a week long, FDP, and all these topics are very, very. I was looking at the agenda, very interesting. And this is a topic that was given to me, and it is very, very interesting for many reasons, and I think we'll know why. And I see some of the hands, Anju Mehta, if you have any. By the way, I will call all of you by your first name. Pardon me for that, because in our companies, American companies, everybody calls everybody by the first name. So Anju, I think if you have a question you can ask, or it's a generic thing, then I would probably ignore. Or you can put on the chat as well. Anyway, which is fine. All right, let's get started. So the topic of today is really human machine collaboration, and a stress is more on augmenting workforce skills. And that is why I think they've invited, someone like me who has worked in the industry, worked with workforce every day, because I'm a practitioner. I have a job. I go to every day and work with workforce so that they improve their skills. So how do we do it in the age of human machine collaboration? Trust me, the way things are changing around me, I'm learning every day, as much as I guess all of us are. But yes, I'll share my thoughts, and I'll go about presenting what I think is the right way of doing it, and we'll have a more discussion further. And as I do it, obviously, and I would also invite some comments and some inputs from your side as well, right? So why do we do it now? As in, why are we talking about this thing about augmenting workforce skills in the age of AI, in the age of human machine collaboration? And I think the answer is very simple. The answer is that if you look around, right, there is always a breaking news going on. Everybody is talking about unemployment. Everybody is talking about the graduate crisis in India, right? Everybody talks about what is going to happen in the era of AI, whether I'll get a job, and if I get a job, will my job be there? So a lot of questions are being talked about. Of course, skill gaps, and I think what is relevant for this group, because you are part of academia and I'm part of the industry. What you are constantly talking about is a skill gap. And the way this data is presented, or all of us get to know, it's really scary, isn't it? And these are something, this is just picked up from the headlines that we see in our digital media and our print media all the days. Overqualified, underemployment, skill gaps, job shortages. And, it's very scary to see that only 1 out of 3 or 4 MBAs are employable. 1 out of 5 engineers employment are employable. 1 out of 10 graduates are employable. Now, this is scary. Is that number accurate or not? I have not done a research on this, but it does seem to me, by my years and years of experience of hiring people, working with people, that it does seem pretty reasonable. I don't know it is 1:4, 1:5, 1:10 is the right number, but it seems like a very reasonable challenge that we are looking into, right? This is what we see every day as you open our laptop or our app or our any of the discussion that we do. But my argument is that, if you see my presentation, I think there are lots of concerns being shared, but I don't think we don't have too many good answers yet. And that is, I think, as a gap, more than the skill gap, that is a real gap. Lots of concerns, but not too many good answers. Everybody seems to be talking about many things, but nobody seems to know really what is happening, right? And I think, and I think there is a reason for that, right? One is that I don't think that instead of really trying to come to a conclusion, no jobs, skill shortages, 1:5, 1:4, all these are maybe a outcome of certain research. But the problem is, as I see it, is that we are not asking the right questions. We all seem to have the right answers, but none of us seem to have the right questions or good questions to ask. And I believe that if you ask the right questions, a lot of these somewhat complicated or complex situations or problems, we can make an attempt to answer those. I don't think we have an answer for everything, but we can good attempt of answering those. In my mind, these are the good questions to ask, and these questions will help us to get to what you want to get to, right? And the first question that we should ask ourselves is that what skills are you talking about? When we are talking about skill gaps, labor shortages, 1:5, MBA can't do that. Engineering can't do these things. 10, so many graduates, non-graduates. But my question to all of us, and obviously for us, is what are we talking about? Which of the skills are you talking about? That's, I think, is a good question to ask that I would love to ask. Right? One more question that I would love to ask is this: why those skills? Right? I know that you want to, I mean, we want to, like, sorry. Are you able to see my presentation? Just to be sure, just checking.
Yes, yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
yeah. Okay, okay.
Yes, sir.
Good, good. Yeah, okay, good, good, good. All right. Why those skills? If I'm talking about a particular skill or B skill or C skill, why those skills? This question is important for us because it seems to me that we are complaining. But by the way, we means the recruiters, right? Because end of the day, we have to recruit from people that you all train and coach and teach, right? So why are those skills needed? That's a great question to ask. Another great question to ask is that how to build those skills. And that is where I think you would need those inputs, right? You would have to find that answer. When you say you, not as a faculty, only you, but all of us. When I say you, it is like really we. I'm using more from a plural sense, not a singular sense. So I think you should ask the three questions. What skills should you augment? And there is one, two, three skills. Why those skills? Why not four, five, and six, or eight, nine, and 10? Why specifically those skills? And importantly, then how do we build those? I think in my session today, I will try to answer those with some logic, with some perspective. And this is something that I have observed for some time, and then I feel that those are the ways to approach it. I would obviously would have some answers to these questions, right? And I will tell you first what is the logic behind going to this question. Because see, when you listen to me, I don't want you to believe for a moment that I'm someone who knows everything. It is not a Asta channel. I'm not a Babaji or a Guruji. I may be wrong, but I think I approach this with a lot of logic and reason. And the logic and reason is what I'll share with you and how do we get to this question, right? So let's talk about what skills. What do we train people on so that the labor shortage, the skill gap is shortened or eliminated? Now, you must be wondering, this is an easy answer. We all know what the skills are, right? Because what you really have to do is just type in on Google saying what are the 10 top important skills required to be to succeed in the 21st century. You'll get very good articles, research on this, right? So what is the point of discussing? You already know. In fact, you must, all of us, if for nothing else, for just academic reasons, must read a report. Please don't read any report. Sometimes Google can be very confusing because everybody seems to be an expert in Google. So we must be choosy about what we read. What should you definitely read is a report on the future of jobs. Future of Jobs by World Economic Forum. It came up last year. It's a 296-page document. I have read every word of it. I would encourage that you all read it. World Economic Forum, WEF, Future of Jobs. And I would obviously I don't want to talk about the 296 pages. What I put up here is one of the very important page where it talks about the fastest going jobs and the fastest declining jobs. And this is from now till 2030 for the next 5 years or so. And this answers the question, what skills, right? The big data specialists, I know I don't know if you can see all of these, fintech engineers, AI, machine learning, and so on and so forth. You all can read this. I don't have to read all of these. And there are declining jobs, postal service clerks, bank tellers, data entry, and again, so on and so forth, right? So this is where I think this data says so. But it is not, as I said, it is not very simple. It is slightly or even more complicated than this. What you see here is the name of some companies and some technologies Do you, by any chance, want to take a guess? What is the one common thing between all these technologies and the various companies that I mentioned there? I mentioned about what? About 12, maybe 15 into 45, about 40 to 45. There could be more. My question to you is that because this is a good time for me to ask question. There's never got a chance to ask a question to a teacher. So what do you think is that one common thing? What binds it all together? Anybody? You can also put on a chat if you want to do that, but you can also unmute. What is that one common thing? Also checking the chat if good evening, Mitali. I hope you can see my chat as well. Okay, maybe it is a very difficult question, maybe, right? But answer is actually very simple. I'm just looking for some answers, but yeah, that's okay. Maybe a difficult question. The answer is very simple, and it's coming out on my screen. All these technologies and organizations were born between 2004 and 2024. How amazing is this? We talk about these and every day in our lives. It impacts our day in and day out. But and Naveen and Atul, great answers, right? Manmeet, great answer. I think I'm getting the it's a latency in the, I think I'm reading it a little late, so sorry about it. Maybe you already know, but these are companies and technologies born in the last 20 years. How amazing is this? You mean just imagine a life, and all of us are more than 20 years. Imagine a life without these things, and back in 2004. I want us to take a guess, right? Between now and the next 20 years, okay, what are the technologies and organisms that will be born? Or after 2025, how many of these companies will remain? Because it is I'm not, I already said I'm not a Babaji or not a Sadhu Sant, but sometimes it is good to look at the future and feel very proud and nice about it. My guess is that none of the above. In exams, you have these questions, right? A, B, C option, and the last is none of the above. I have a feeling that none of these companies, like these companies did not exist 20 years back. The same companies, if you and I have to talk in the year 2025, let God give us, all of us, good health and good life. If I come back again, talk to the same group, I have a very fair confidence that none of these 45 companies will be showing up on that list. How amazing is this, right? Therefore, the challenge that the first, I'll talk about three challenges while answering this question. The challenge really is that we really don't know. When somebody says that you have to build skills, there is a skill gap and there is a shortage and there is this. My question is that what skills are you talking about, ma'am and sir? Because in 20 years, at least 20 years, all of us know that this change will happen in first 20 years. My humble submission of question, sir and ma'am, what skills are you talking about? What skills are you talking about? Because all the skills that I have learned is in the last 20 years, right? It's totally changed. So what skills are you talking about, right? So this is something, it's a good question to ask. And medical technology, healthcare is great. I mean, these are amazing. Things will completely change. I'm also reading the comments that you're posting. This is great. No, please, let's use the comment box as well to share your thoughts, right? We don't know what skills to build. And if we don't know what skills to build, what do we build? As a faculty, what do you teach? Because whatever you teach, at least in the next 20 years, now that's relevant. And the way world is going, it will be next 5 years, it won't be relevant. So the skill shortage will always be there. You're always running behind a skill, right? Yeah, analytical power, another thing. It's amazing, right? It's if you think about it, it's fascinating. So first challenge, I'll talk about three challenges. The first challenge is that we don't know what skills to build. This is a typical, I don't know how many of you live in a metro city or like a tier 1, tier 2 city. Like everybody talks about Bangalore, but Hyderabad, Delhi, Bombay, I think they all struggle with a lot of its traffic, right? I don't know about what cities you belong to. I guess you joined from many other places, but traffic is a problem. But the reason of showing this picture is not because of a traffic. I don't want to solve that problem, or maybe I want. But the question is this, right? Today, our streets look like this. Yeah, look at this picture I'm showing you right now. Today, our streets look like this. In a very foreseeable future, in your and my lifetime, the streets will look very different. And I'm going to show this picture. And obviously, it is an artist impression. It is created through technology. That street don't exist today, but it will exist very, very soon. This is how our streets should look like. We are soon entering into one world in our lifetime when you have driverless cars. Driverless cars. Just imagine the world, right? The question to you, and it's just a matter of time, whether it is happening in the next 10 years, 15 years, it is going to happen. It is going to be the streets only filled with this or 80% filled with that. That's a different discussion altogether. But you know what? But this will happen. Now, the question I have for all, and this is where I need help in terms of coming up with some answer, because even I do not know the answer for that. Imagine a future. Suppose you fast forward to 2040, to 15 years from now, there are a lot of driverless cars in our streets. All around us, we see cars, no drivers. In that world, which jobs will be impacted? So in that's a question. I mean, what are the jobs that may not exist or will have a chance? Drivers, Vandy, excellent. Yeah. We'll not have a job for the drivers. We'll talk about joblessness. We talk about skill gap. We talk about jobless growth and so on. Drivers, absolutely. Can others give me some more example? What jobs? Automatic cars, yeah, all of automatic cars will be this, but automatic cars will exist, but which jobs may not exist because of automatic cars and driverless cars? That is one question. Or do you think only drivers will be impacted? Nobody else will be impacted. Construction workers, numbers will be reduced. Amazing. Yeah. Yes, maybe, yeah. Why this? And see the correlation. Okay, from drivers, you're talking about construction workers, traffic controllers. Mamit, amazing examples you're giving. Very good. Can others give some examples? Manit, keep typing. Fastest fingers fast. Of course, I'm not in KBC. I can't give you any some good prizes, but this is really, really great to see how you are thinking. What jobs will be impacted if there are driverless cars around us? And when I think about it, this is what I thought. Of course, drivers is very common, right? Just look at the list that I have put up here. Pooja, Dr. Pooja, driving school. Thank you. Thank you, Mamit. Just look at the list. Motor insurance companies, driverless cars, following traffic, no accident, no motor insurance. No accident, no medical insurance, no accident, no life insurance companies. I mean, they would exist, but their revenues will come down, right? And by the way, it is very sad that in India, 454 people die every day. 454 people die every day. 1.7 lakh people every year. 3.5 lakh people will go through accident. This is a serious problem. Okay, that can be avoided. Vehicle repairing shop. No accidents, no repairs. RTA, people who give license, no driver, no license required, no testing, nothing. Hospitals, clinics, no accidents. I mean, I'm not saying they will close down, but I think they'll be impacted. They'll be impacted. Petrol pumps may not exist. Shailesh, amazing. I will add this to my list. I'll add this to my list. That's why I said I don't know everything. I'm here to actually get knowledge from all of you, right? And see, original equipment manufacturing. When I today get into a car, I first put on the seat belt. I have to be safe. I buy the car because of the bag safety bags. Not required. They will all close down. There are multinational companies manufacturing seat belts and those balloons. Not required. Mechanics, I mentioned about vehicle repairing shops. Food delivery companies, I mean the people who do food delivery. Swiggy and Zomato. You don't need people now. The cars can deliver. Transport aggregators, Uber, Ola, not required. I'll book a cab, the car will come. Driver not needed. Spare part shop, amazing. Amazing, Shailesh, thank you so much. And the list can go on and on. I'm actually writing it down. I'll keep a note of this. I'll increase my number. But this is what we think of. Just think for a moment. When we talk about skills, the point I'm trying to make is a second challenge that I'm going to put up. In this interconnected world, when one simple thing, one change in technology can impact so many jobs in unbelievable ways, what do we train people on? What skills do we develop? When you talk about human machine collaboration, this is what the reality is. This is amazing when you think about it. Right? And thank you, Mani, for sharing my content is excellent. I hope others like it too. If you like it, give me a thumbs up, because only thing is that this takes effort to make to put thoughts on a paper and then kind of do that. By the way, I mean I mean it's like you can take pictures and whatnot. I mean it's not like I'm going to anything which is like it's protected by data or something, right? I'm just using something that I see. Thank you very much for the encouragement. If others like it, keep encouraging me. Okay. I'm just take a moment, take a pause for a moment. I'll stop myself for 15 minutes. All of you can see, or 15 seconds. All of you can see me. Just read my mind and let me know what I'm thinking right now. Okay, 15 seconds up. What did I think? Did anybody read my mind for 15 seconds? मिताली तो अच्छा, आप वैसे देख रहे हो क्या? मेरा मन कौन पढ़ लिया यार? व्हाट इज गोइंग, कौन है साधु संत यहाँ पे जो किसी का माइंड पढ़ सकता है? आई जस्ट मे बी समबडी इज देयर, और समबडी मत, ये क्या बकवास है यार? कौन, ये क्या सर ने बता दिया देवशीष ने कि हाउ डू आई रीड समबडीज माइंड, राइट? So congratulations. If you're not able to read, not able to read out, okay. You were thinking what will be the answer. Maybe Vandy, maybe right. Maybe actually I was not thinking anything. I was thinking that on the next 15 seconds it will be up, and when can I click? I want to congratulate all of you for not getting the answer right. And you must be thinking, ये क्या हो गया? ये गलत आंसर पे congratulations. I want to congratulate you because you just proved that you are human beings. All of you are human beings. I'm human beings. And you proved that you are not an AI. Yeah. And Vandy, similar काउंटिंग टाइम भी हो सकता है. बट आई वाज इन अ मनी मन काउंट 1 2 कर रहा था, लेकिन मैं सोच तो नहीं रहा था उसके बारे में. बट the point is this, as I say, you just proved that you are human being. Congratulations. बहुत खुश हूं मैं. I was thinking कोई AI तो नहीं आएगा मेरे बीच में who read my mind, because it is possible. It is possible. AI today can read my mind and turn my thoughts into text. AI today can actually tell what am I imagining as a picture from a looking and a brain scan, and then actually put that picture. If I'm think about elephant, it can draw the picture of an elephant. That's not the end. AI can actually make you change your mind. So if you don't look like my presentation, you want me to stop. If you are an AI, you can just read my mind and do and start have me talk about Hollywood, Bollywood movies and whatnot. And you must be thinking, sir, ये तो कुछ बहुत टाइम है, मैट्रिक्स एज में शायद होगा कोई, आज से 100 साल के बाद. This is happening today. And by the way, when this is happening, any report or any scientist you talk to, we are maybe around 0.0001% of what you know of AI, what AI can do. 0.0001. It is not what I'm saying, it is what all the researchers say. If a 0.00001 can do it quite reasonably well, what I just mentioned, imagine what is going to happen to our future. This is a reality which is around us. We have to accept it. AI is dangerous somewhere. We can talk about the dangers. I don't think, it is very dangerous. We'll talk about that later. But yes, for many different reasons, right? But yes, but this is where it is, right? And therefore, and if you see, so it is maybe something going to happen in the future, and reading my mind, this does not sound too unreal, does not sound too practical, ye wo. But obviously, all these things are there all over us, right? This is the picture of a strike, of a dharna. In India में धरना बहुत होती है, लेकिन बाहर ना नहीं होता है सब. ये यूएस का एक पिक्चर है, धरना. Anybody knows what dharna is all about? And there is a small, actually, it's a small clue. It says Writers Guild on Strike. ये न्यूज में काफी आया था ये. पता नहीं आप लोगों ने पढ़ा है कि नहीं. And by the way, I hope everybody understands Hindi. Once in a while, if you speak in Hindi, I hope that is okay. If not, please tell me. I'll not speak a word in Hindi. This is a strike, and this is amazing. Huh? If you don't know about it, I'll just share this story. This is a strike which was done by the best screenwriters of Hollywood movies. So the Hollywood movies that get made by the various, these movie houses, be it Miramax, be it Disney, be it Pixar, it is those people who write screens of these blockbuster great movies. They are on strike because what was happening, AI was writing better script than them. बताओ अभी. ये जो मूवीज है जो हम देखते हैं, जो कि इतना इतना अप्रिशिएट करते हैं, उनका स्क्रिप्ट जो लिखा होता है ह्यूमन बींग्स, द एआई टुडे, दिस इज अबाउट 2023, नॉट इवन 24. Imagine what they can do. And of course, AI can write a joke. It gives you, we can write a story, whatnot, right? They are writing a full movie, right? This movie is, when I saw it when I was very young. Okay, of course, I didn't see it when I was young because it was released in 1883. I was very, very young at that point of time. But some of you were very much younger to me, I'm sure. You may have heard about this movie, Masoom. If you have not, if you see this movie, it's a great movie of human emotions where this main character, let's say the male character played by Nashiruddin Shah, he has an affair and he has a child from that affair, and he brings that child to his wife and ask his wife to bring up this child. Very, very complicated human emotions. A movie which is by Gulzar, written by, directed by him. Amazing songs as well. If you talk about a human story, this is a very, very complex story. This movie was by Shekhar Kapoor, right? And Shekhar Kapoor last year went back and asked AI, can you write a script like Masoom? And it is just News 18 report. I've just put up a screenshot. But the script was still okay. But I think he was amazed by the AI's intuitive understanding. The AI understood the emotions of somebody who has a child, as a mother who bring up the child which is not her own from a different marriage. What happens to this kid? Amazing. What is happening, what you see around us, is that the jobs and the skills are going through a full circle. What do I mean by this? Earlier, see, there are three things that goes into a job, right? One is our hand. We do mechanical stuff, you know, hairdressers, tailors, cook, people in working in hotels and fire brigades and so on and so forth. Like with hand, you need hand, mostly hand. Although we need everything, but mostly hand, right? Hands and legs. Then there is cognitive using of head, scientists, doctors, engineers, lawyers, a lot of brain power, a lot of cognitive abilities. Last is the heart, emotions. The job that you do, I think it's between head and heart. I think hand maybe as well. I'm talking about teachers, and hats off to you. I wanted to be a teacher, but could not. It's very, very unfortunate. I have a lot of respect for teachers. So you are between head and heart, but I think the role that you play right now is more of coaching and mentoring. So it's more of a heart role. Nurses, HR people, social workers, hand, head, and heart. When we started many years back, we were only doing hands, the roles that is doing in hand, right? Then we moved to cognitive and then with heart. Now what is really happening is that, and someone like me, a student, I was more of a hand. I was very average student, so I could not become a scientist or a doctor, not even a teacher, unfortunately. So I built my career mostly initially in those, it is not about my life, but I was into the hand thing, right? So and the hand thing is because लोगों को कुछ करना नहीं आएगा ना, सबसे least paid jobs, किसी को कुछ नहीं आ रहा है तो वो करेगा ये, right? Sometimes uneducated will do this hand, the work of the hand, but it is coming full circle. With the head and the hard jobs being done by AI, largely, if not with collaboration, what is actually left with the hand, the job that the hand. AI may do hairstyling, cut my hair. They may also stitch my clothes. I'm sure they would. Even they can cook food for me, but it'll take some time. Number one. Number two, if AI starts doing hairdressing, tailoring, and cook, there'll be more demand for people who can do the same things with hand. Because when things become very common, then human touch becomes important. So right now, therefore, the third thing is that there'll be shifts in the value of a particular skill. Today, we value the jobs that is with head and the heart. When I say value, it's called money value as well. I'm talking about the social value. Social value is important. The money value as well is very, very important, right? Because when you create students, when you are teaching, your job is to create employment, and employment comes with a salary. Employment comes with a compensation, right? And there, suppose today we assign a value of 10 rupees to a scientist and 1 rupee to a hairdresser, this would change. When AI can start reading minds, but can't cut your hair, this would change. So what jobs are we talking about? How do we build those jobs? Right? I hope that I have not put you all to sleep. We are all there. I can't see you. It is not in a live in presence. It is easy to see people, but you all are there, hopefully, with me. Okay. The thumbs ups really help. It also encourages me and tells me that you are all there. And thank you. More than 100 people have joined. Thank you all for joining the session. Right. So therefore, what should we do? I've told you 3 challenges. And in the next question, now you can read my mind. Now in your mind, वो बोले सर फिर करेंगे क्या? ये तो बहुत खतरनाक, मतलब ये तो already people are we are commenting that dangerous, and then human efforts will diminish all these things. I'm okay with diminishing, Jarmanjit, but going away, the biggest challenge that people are talking about is jobless growth, and the biggest challenge the world is talking about, the world without jobs. Don't forget this term, the world without jobs. It will not happen in our lifetime, but it will happen sometime. So we'll not worry about that at this point. But there is nothing that I doubt anything can be without an AI, you can do everything. So what should we do? I'll give my answers. My answers. And as I'm not a Babaji, I don't know everything. But given what we know right now, till now, what I've shared, what do I think are the possible things that you can. I'll talk about 3 solutions very quickly. I'm looking at my watch as well. I'm almost at 40 minutes. I'll take 5 minutes to tell about, therefore, what should you do? We have to build skills. When students must go to college and learn something, right? I should hire people and they should learn. But more than that, what are the skills that I would look at to hire? When I say I, here I'm representing a community of recruiters and HR people and organizations, which we believe will be the skills that are really there is a gap, or this is something, the area that you're talking about, right? And here, when I talk about skills, I'm not talking about functional skills, right? Which is like nursing. You have to learn about nursing. You learn about accounting. You learn about, you know, basic theories of mathematics. Those, I'm not talking about those things, right? I'm talking about what are some of the skills that will be agnostic to any industry where you must learn. We must teach. And if you're able to teach those, I will come and hire. And my contemporaries, my fellow HR leaders will come and hire. And I think we'll be able to bridge that skill gap. The first solution is that build transferable skills. Build skills that can be transferred between one job to another job to third job to fourth job easily. Why we need transferable skills? I have already mentioned. The jobs that we do today would not exist. No matter what you do, no matter how much training I do in my own office, that job is not going to be there. And even if it's going to be there in the year 2030, it is going to look very different. My HR job, right? What I did in 2020 was maybe 80% different what I'm doing right now. Therefore, if you go to my profile, my LinkedIn profile, you see I've done so many certifications, despite the fact I was already an CHR of a large multinational company. लोग बोलते हैं सर ये पढ़ के आप क्या करोगे, आप तो ऑलरेडी सीएचआर बन गए और क्या। बॉस मेरा जॉब नहीं रहेगा यार, सीएचआर तो छोड़ दो। It will transferable skills. There are I'll talk about 3 transferable skills. There can be 5, there can be 10, there can be 1 maybe, but these 3 are like foundations. If you don't teach these 3, then we are going to have this gap increasing day by day. But if you can teach them teamwork, EI, and communication, they or anybody, you can do a job that you may want to. I can do a job that I may want to. You can do the job of an HR. I can do the job of a faculty. I truly and truly believe that. Yes, there could be other skills. There's not a long list, but we have to start from somewhere. We cannot start at a list of 10. But this, I believe, will take care of 50% of the problems. Teach communication, teach emotional intelligence, and teach teamwork. Okay, I can't tell you how important this is and why it is so important in organizational context. And one example that I give everybody is that, if there is in my room, I have one lion and me, and we are fighting, the lion will win. If there are 2 lions and me and Ripin are there, the lions will win again. But if there is a big field or a big room where there are 100 of us are there and there are 100 lions, guess who will win? We will win. 100%. Yes, because the way that we can form ideas and team and build, collaborate and come up with thoughts, do things differently. Any animals have very basic emotions. The 6 basic emotions, right? We have multiple emotions, right? There is amazing what teamwork can do. It is amazing how many of us lack it. Everything that we do in the world is about communication, right? And everybody who's powerful, even if you're preaching about God is not coming to talk to you. There is a book that talks about God, be it Guru Granth Sahib, be it Gita, be it Quran, be it Bible. You need a means to communicate. And when the God men coming and talking, they also talk in a language. Very, very important. Third thing is that very important, build a learning agility. It is not good enough to just teach the three things, but also teach, I call it learning how to learn. And there is a lot of science behind it. In fact, a lot of books written for people like this group, for people like me in HR who train people, people like you who are in faculty, who are part of teaching people, where there is a science have been developed at how you can help people learn better. So if you got that science, then you can learn any subject. I think it is important, not besides teaching subjects, it's important to teach learning agility as to how you can learn anything. If you're interested, I can share some books for your own work as a faculty. It will be amazing. And later we can, if you're interested, I can share that. But it's just so important how to build this muscle where somebody can learn anything. And it does not happen just by willpower, my attitude. No, it is not as simple as that. There is a science behind that. You learn that. Third is the build an entrepreneurial mindset. I'm not talking about entrepreneurs here. We're talking about a mindset, right? And therefore, let me reveal the three things that we must learn, right? If India has to prosper, has to go to the Amrit Kaal in the next 20 years, you have to go to third biggest economy, we have the demographic dividend, and we are going to be a first developed and so on and so forth, right? It can only happen if we can give importance to the entrepreneurial spirit. We cannot just do jobs and grow the economy. Entrepreneurs have to start the companies, and we have to behave and think like entrepreneurs, even if we are not entrepreneurs ourselves. In the next 5 years, if you decide to leave your job, you'll be working for an entrepreneur. It may be a person who is starting a new college. In the next 5 years, all of us, I may be working for a company which does not exist today. Right? And therefore, what do we do to build that? Every entrepreneur, wherever the person is built, across whatever age, any businessman has these three skills. They're very curious. They see something and they ask, "Arey, aisa kyun ho gaya ye?" Okay? I did not get a food in my train travel. तो कैसे खाना मिलेगा? railkhana.com. I'm waiting for my auto, and then the guy is haggling, I know it's raining, uber.com. I mean, all of these people are very curious, and then they solve the problem. And one more thing is risk taking. Whether you are an employer, entrepreneur, or an employee, you must have an entrepreneurial mindset, right? And I think in terms of the skills gap, in terms of what skills to augment, when I started my discussion, the topic given to me was what skills do we augment in the area of human machine collaboration? These are my three solutions. There can be more than that, but talking about basic grammar here, starting with alphabets A, B, C, and D. We must do that. And I think if we do that, technology changing, AI coming into the picture will impact our current job, but it may not impact our ability to do other jobs. And that, I think, is more important. I'll end my talk with this quote, which is my favorite quote. I'm not somebody who's very big in quotes, but this is something I love from Alvin Toffler. This is an illiterate of 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. Thank you very much, everyone. I have taken already a lot of your time, but I promised it was about an hour was given to me, and promised that I will, give some time for Q&A. Hope you have some time. Otherwise, I'm okay to do whatever you would, if any question, happy to answer that.
No, sir, this is now interactive session. Participants, any kind of questions you have.
Any thoughts, comments, disagreements? As I said, not Asta channel. I'm a guy who learned the job on the job. So, by the way, some of you may or may not be connected with you, but I'll be happy to stay connected if there is, as you know, Ripin said earlier, there's this thing that I sit in the boards of many. I've lost the and in different. I do a lot of guest lectures where I share my thoughts on the things that in a way makes me ask questions, important questions. So if you would like me to kind of engage with you in different ways, in case anything I can do to help you, to help your students, to your institution, do get in touch with me. Happy to help. I'm based in Hyderabad, but I'm happy if it is session needed, I can take a session. In the chat, I also put my. I'll stop sharing. I will support my, email ID there. I'll share my phone number in case you like to get. I'm putting it on the chat in case you want to have a chat with me. Please send me a message on WhatsApp because I'm not very good at picking up the phone immediately. I'll be middle of something, but I do a lot of work around this. So I would strongly request you to connect with me on LinkedIn, where you can actually find out what I do and where I can contribute most to you, your careers, and to your students and your institution. Okay,
Any
all right.
queries, participants? So, on
All right.
behalf of everyone, sir, I extend a heartfelt thank you to you. It was really engaging and interactive session, and I hope that their means participants have already taken away so many things from
Well,
your
yeah, can
from
I,
this session.
maybe Vandy has a question. I don't know if it is placed because of that. Is that Vandy, you have a question?
No, I guess no,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Yes, sir. I have a question.
Okay, all right.
Sir, because you told us so many things about future that what we should develop in ourselves to keep us sustained. What do you
Yes.
suggest us to inculcate the things in our children so that they don't have to struggle for that?
A tough question. Some of these actually are the same, right? I would say if it's talking about children, and I'm not a expert in parenting, but I think we must learn to deal with complex human emotions. And if we can teach our children to really connect a lot with fellow human beings, right? Spend time where there are more human beings are there. That is, and teach them how to handle failures, how to, you know, tackle setbacks, not really reward them, award them for every single thing, give a participation certificate, but for lack of better word, make them slightly uncomfortable. I think this is where maybe in the way that some of us were brought up. I think I'm talking about that because the basic emotions, as I give a mention, I think AI will take care of it. I'm not even talked about AI agents. Someday, if I get the time, we'll talk about it. But those are other things. But I think children, basic human emotions, interaction, lot of time with people and less with screen. I don't know if it's possible or not, but that is something which is important.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Great question. I'm reading some comments, Rupin, if you don't mind. Session
Yes,
was
yes, sir.
thank
We have a question for you in chat box. Being academicians, what should we focus while imparting education so that they will be future ready and sustainable in the era of AI?
Yeah. Shivam, since we do not know what the future looks like, and take it from me, anybody who says they know, they're lying. Since we do not know, therefore, my session was dedicated to that. If we just can do some of the things to the students, Okay, because the students have to be employed. You're all, you all, I think mostly they're all from universities and colleges. It is a professional education, right? These people will actually get into a job market. They'll be hired by people like us. So your ROI or your effort should be make them employable. Important education would mean that from your perspective, right? I think just the three things I mentioned, entrepreneurial mindset, all the three things there, communication skills, emotional intelligence, those, and just the learning agility. I really wish that we spend a lot of time in colleges outside the classroom than inside. Because inside, a lot of information is provided, that information is easily available. Even you and I cannot have that information. How much can we know? AI knows a lot more information. I'm talking about information, not emotion. Information, they're not for us. I think we as, and I'm not a person to give a lecture on the faculty. I'm not, you are the best to know that. My humble submission is that, maybe there is a need for us to not give just information and be a coach wherever they need help. If they're struggling to learn, how can we help? I think if we can do that, they'll be ready for any role and people like us will hire them. Thank you. I
And
don't think there are more questions. So should we?
so, on behalf of everyone, sir, I really thank you for, such an interactive and engaging session. Um, while all your lecture, the way you started, that good answers come from good questions. So if participants have also started asking questions finally, and we are getting many insightful answers from those. And thank you for inspiring us today, sir. Thank you so much.
No,
And I hope that in future also we will be having such kind of more interactive sessions. Thank you, sir.
totally my pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for everybody. Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a good evening. Thank you.
So the speaker for our next session is Dr. Arun Arora ji, who has already joined us. He's business head at High Tech Engineer. I welcome you, sir. A
Yeah,
PhD, a PhD in mechanical engineering. He's a visionary operations strategist with more than 3 decades of expertise in manufacturing excellence, specializing in lean methodologies, TPM, and business process re-engineering. He has successfully headed global manufacturing export tractor assembly at International Tractors Limited. He is recognized for driving strategic planning and process optimization. He is also a guest faculty at BITS Pilani and has published a number of research papers in national and international journals. I welcome you, sir, and hope that your vast knowledge and experience will definitely inspire and benefit our participants. Over to
thank
you,
you.
sir.
Thank you, ma'am. So warm good evening to all of you in this winter season. Hope I am audible.
Yes, sir, you are audible, sir.
Fine. Thank you. Slide is visible. Can anybody confirm me, please?
No, sir, your slide is not visible, sir.
Just wait.
Yes, sir, now your screen is visible, sir.
Thank you. So again, good evening to all of you. So today's we are going to cover a very, hot topic nowadays, supply 4.0. So leveraging industry, somebody called 4.0, somebody called 4.0. So let's say 4.0 for smarter and more resilient supply chains. So already Ripun Madam has given my introduction. So I've done my PhD in mechanical engineering from Lovely Professional University. So currently working as a business head in high tech engineers Manesar, which is supplied to Maruti actually. So I have a 34 years of experience in industry. I've worked in New Ellenbury Works, Escorts Limited, Mahindra and Mahindra Limited, and International Tractors Limited. So my expertise in lean, TPM, TQM operations, of course in supply chain also. So I will be covering the whole contents in 4 sections actually. So I was thinking it's 4.0. So let's divide the section into 4 part. So we'll be covering with the supply chain. What is supply chain? What are the objective of supply chain management? What are the decision phases in supply chain and process view of supply chain? So we'll cover up how we can move with this concept. Is a very good concept. Digitization nowadays, everybody is talking about artificial intelligence digitization. So let's start with the basics and then we'll move to the topic which we are going to cover up in a big way. So in this section we'll be able to learn what are the goal of supply chain and the impact of supply chain decision on the success of firm. There are 3 key supply chain decision which I will explain one by one. There are 2 views we will look into, that cyclic view and push-pull view of supply chain, and then we will identify the important issues and decisions to be addressed in the supply chain. So let us see in manufacturing companies, basically when we see that we are getting some product, okay, we go to market, we buy a product. So there is a story behind that in the finished product, right? So let us let us visualize a manufacturing company where a raw material comes and then this raw material goes into various processes and then it comes into a outcome is the final product. For example, we are getting car, that steel is used to convert as a raw material to convert into core. We are drinking juices, fruits are being used as a input to make a juice. Similarly, cotton into garments, etc., etc. So what we are actually using, we are using resources. What are these resources? We are using machines, we are using facilities, we are using manpower, money, and licenses, etc., to convert our raw material into product. This is a basic fundamental things in any manufacturing company. So material is coming, it is being manufactured, and finally we are getting the product. So here some expenditures are involved, and of course when we are selling the product, we are getting revenue. So this was the basic concept in the manufacturing company. So when we talk about the supply chain, so what happens in the manufacturing company? There are various process happens in the manufacturing company. So manufacturing company taking that raw material, they are purchasing raw material from some of the suppliers. They are doing the production, and then after the production, the finished product are being stored and distributed at the distribution center, from where it goes to sales, and there from sales we are using transportation. And then of course in the scenario of manufacturing, there is a management, we are using research and development, we have a finances and control systems, and of course marketing and marketing research. So this is basically a scenario where a manufacturing company operates actually. So let us take a very simple flow of the product which happens in the organization. So we are getting, suppose let us have a steel plant, okay. So we are getting the steel from the mines. Here the components manufacturer is there. Here the product manufacturer is there, retailer and distributor. So I will explain you in a very simple way, right? So here when we talk about the component manufacturer, here we talk about steel plant, here we talk about mines. What it means, that flow which are written in the boxes, it means there is a steel, right, which acts as a raw material to any of the product. So the steel is coming from the mines, and component manufacturer, here we call it as a supplier. supplier which is supplying to components or maybe some child's part, we can say, to the product manufacturer. So here the component manufacturer is a supplier which is getting a raw material converted into either finished way or either semi-finished way and giving to the product manufacturer. And in the product manufacturer, they are producing the product incorporating various processes inside the premises of the organization. So when product is gets ready, it is going to retailer or distributor, and then of course customer. We suppose we want to go to say some agency to buy a car, so it's a distributor. So we as a customer, we are getting the finished component either from the retailer or the distributor. So this is basically a flow of flow of the product actually when it goes from supplier to the customer end. So here in this case, it looks to be very simple. When say this is the concept of supply chain, very good. It's a very simple concept. So here there are various stages are involved. We are involving suppliers. Here the manufacturer are also involved. Now the finished product is going to the retailer or distributor through transporter. So means we are using transportation system also. Product, after the product is manufactured, they are getting stored in warehouses or stock some distribution center. So warehouses are also involved. It goes to the retailer. Retailer also have a some sort of facilities there. So then finally it goes to customer. Customer buy the product through the retailer. So these are the various stages involved in the supply chain process. So now this makes the system more complicated because every stages there is a value addition or some non-value added activities. So we will see how the industry 4.0 supply 4.0 is facilitating us to to bounce back with all these stages when something goes wrong. So we'll as we move ahead, we'll keep on seeing the differentiation between these. So here in this case, what actually is being followed, moving, there is a movement of product, there is a movement of information. So information means the component has been moved from supplier to say manufacturer. So there is a flow of information. Funds are also involved in at every stages, and finally the product, which is the outcome of this total the processes. So all the functions within the company, whether there is a product development or department, functional department, marketing, operations, distribution, finance, customer services, this all entity comes together to make a product which is available to the customer. This is basically an essence of a supply chain. This transformation happens from raw material to converting into the product to the customer, and this is the flow in this way happens in the supply chain process. So here you see the concept. When I talk about this concept, already explained that there is a physical supply from supplier to a manufacturer. Inside the manufacturing organization, there is a manufacturing planning and control department. Based upon the order which is coming from the customer, they basically a plan, right? So manufacturing planning and control plan, they plan according to the customer order or customer requirement or the order which is placed by the customer. Of course, transportation, there are various mode of transportation. We use trucks, we use air, we use water for transporting the final product to the next stage of the process. There is a distribution. The product through the transportation goes to the distribution. There is a physical distribution with retailers and to the customer. So here in this case, there is a physically, distribution, supply and distribution. So a lot of things are involved in this case, right? So when we talk about the supply chain, which I have explained earlier, there comes a now equation, which we call it as a supply chain equation. What it says, there are suppliers. Suppliers are taking the raw material from their sub-suppliers. So there is a chain actually. This chain works together to make a final product. So here there is a chain. Suppliers are taking material from sub-supplier. So when we talk about in terms of our Indian manufacturing system ecosystem, we say there is a OEM. Suppose let us say Maruti is a company which is OEM company, and they are producing cars, various models, various variety of cars they are producing. So taking the raw material, they are taking the material either in terms of semi-finished stage or in the finished stage. Similarly, they are taking metal from the supplier, and then supplier, they are taking metal from their sub-suppliers. So in our scenario, in Indian scenario, we call it as a tier 1, tier 2 at OEMs, right? For example, let us take an example of Maruti itself. Maruti taking that parts, most of the parts directly from Krishna Maruti Limited. I'm taking one of the example. And Krishna Maruti Limited is taking one product from their another sub-supplier. So that sub-supplier, we call it as a tier 1 sub-supplier. Krishna Maruti is talked about to be a tier 2, sub-supplier is tier 2 and Krishna Maruti is tier 1 and Maruti is OEM. So in this way, the whole supply system works together to to produce the product. So the equation comes out to be there are suppliers and sub-suppliers. Let us talk in terms of when I take an example, tier 1, tier 2. There is a company, let us say Maruti, which is an OEM. And of course, there is a distribution and retailer, and finally the customer. This is an equation which is equal to a supply chain management. So this system, this equation looks to be very simple. We add everything and then it's come to a supply chain equations. So there are few of the pictures in my slide. So I will cover up all these pictures later on, and we will relate all these pictures relating to supply chain 4.0, right? So I'm not covering, you have seen every slide. There is some picture, some technologies are available, some systems, these technology, how they make systems reliable. So I will cover up all these things once we go through the basic concept behind the supply chain. So what is supply chain? So we have already seen that there is a supplier, there is a manufacturer. So here, when we say process, right, process goes from upstream to downstream. When we say upstream to downstream means the product is transporting from supplier to the customer. So that supplier is upstream process and customer is up to the is a downstream process. What is that? When the supply side, there is a demand, and based upon the demand, we supply. If the demand is more, supply is less, this is one scenario. Demand is less, supply is more, this is another scenario. We not only we see in the manufacturing, we see in every sector there is a philosophy behind, there is a concept behind demand and supply. So the basic
Participants are requested to mute themselves.
Thank you, ma'am. So there is aim to match the supply and demand. Actually, efficiency of the supply chain system can be achieved when demand is there, we are able to match it with the supply. Demand is less, we are able to match it with the less demand. So how we will cope up with the less demand if we have a capacity? So that will all will see when we move ahead. So basic aim, basic fundamental of supply chain, which is that aims to match the supply and demand. For what? For the profitability, for the protected services. So here, what we actually achieve, we achieve the right product at the right cost, at the right store we are storing, at the right quantity, with product is going to the right customer at the right time. Of course, all these are right. So it is the quality is good. The customer, they are taking the product at the right time. Delivery, we talk about the quality, cost, and delivery. In all the three terms, we always get a higher profit, right? So basic aim of the supply chain, when we are able to match the supply and demand, we always get a higher profit in terms of which all the rights I have explained. So all the parties, when we talk about suppliers, sub-suppliers, everything, all the parties, some are directly involved, some are indirectly involved in fulfilling the customer request. So basically, what we are working for? We are working for the customer. Customer is a god. Every ecosystem, every services, in all the sectors, we are actually serving customers, because customer is a person, or customer, they are actually buying our product in terms of giving money to us, and for which we are here, all of us, right? So all the parties, right? So they are involved to fulfilling the customer orders actually. So when we talk about in terms of the specific to supply chain management, already told you, explained, suppliers, manufacturer, transporter, warehouses, retailers, customer, all are involved in the supply chain management. So somebody, one day I was explaining all these concept in one of the lecture. People called me how the customer is involved with supply chain. Ultimately, what we are doing for the everything we are doing for the customer only, na. So customer actually we are getting the order, customer preferences, customer demands, customers wish, customer requirements. So all things happen from the customer actually. It should be downstream to upstream, because upstream always gets improved based upon the requirement from the downstreams from each of the stages. So I will explain later on how this strategic fit happens. So within the organization, supply chain involved in all the functions which I have explained earlier for receiving and fulfilling a customer order. Already this has been covered up with all the functional entity within the organization. So customer is an integral part of the supply chain. Also, there is a fund which I have explained. There is a product, finally product. There is a information flow from one stage to another stage. So typically, supply chain basically a network of the various business entity and the processes linking all these stakeholders to make a effective, product to the customer. So there is a vendor, there is a okay. So now come out to be when vendor, supplier or sub supplier, they are supplying their product to let us say finally to OEM. There is a transportation involved. Some some meta some say some trucks, some mini trucks. This comes inside the plant, inside the premises of the manufacturing organization. So there is an inbound logistic, we call it as a, or either we call it as inbound transportation. So from the inbound transportation, it comes into the plant, right? There is a inter facility transformation. That means it is moving inside the uh, plant from one of the docking. What is docking? Docking is where we are actually placing the material which is received from the suppliers, right? So we call it as a docking. From docking they are transporting to the various, either in the store or either to the manufacturing line. So we call it as inter facility transportation. And then also when the product is finished out, we are also from the inter facility transportation, the product is being transposed to distribution center. From the distribution center there comes out to be role of outbound transportation for delivering to the customer. So this is basically a pictorial representation of supply chain management. So here which this is a pictorial which I have tried to explain here. There is a raw material supplier, which I have already told you. There is a tier 2 supplier. For example, let us take a company which is supplying say some electronic item or some say powertrain system to any of the plant. They have to make, and they have to send to dealers. So how it works now, in the any electronic item there is camera is involved. So this tier 1 supplier cannot produce a camera. So what will they do? They are taking the camera from the tier 2 supplier. Sorry, tier 1 supplier cannot produce camera. So they are only capable of producing, or their business is also based upon the electronic parts, right? So camera they are taking from the tier 2 supplier, and electronics item from the tier 1 supplier. It is going to the manufacturing plant. For example, similarly for the powertrain, tier 1 supplier is proficient for making a powertrain, or we call it as a transmission of any any automobile, right? So bearing, cylinder, or any associated parts, they are taking from the tier 2 supplier. And that tier 2 sub supplier, they are taking raw material from another supplier. So this is chain actually. This is flow of material, flow of information, and flow of product. And finally it comes to the manufacturing plant. From the manufacturing plant it goes to the various dealer, and from the dealers 1 2 3 there are various customers are involved. So these are the stages of an automotive supply chain, which I'm trying to explain to all of you how this supply chain actually works. So let us take an example of Procter and Gamble. They are producing detergent. So this is very a classic example. Uh, Here it is, manufacturer, wholesale, retailer. This is actually service comes out to be. So here we see a detergent manufacturer, right? Detergent manufacturer is supplying to Procter and Gamble. So Procter and Gamble is a they are supplying to the supermarket, and where the customer want detergent and goes to the supermarket or maybe some store to buy that detergent. So here the comes how it comes out to be. There is a timber industry, right? And they are producing material to the paper manufacturer. From timber, the paper manufacturer is producing the paper and it goes to supplier, right? And their chemical manufacturer also supplying to the detergent manufacturer. Similarly, the chemical manufacturer, oil is also involved in making the detergent. Also, the product they are giving oil to the plastic producer. So you can see how many suppliers, sub suppliers, one, two, they are involved in finally making a product which we call it as a detergent. So all these, they are interconnected to each other. So here the complexity of the product starts. The complexity of the product starts because various parties or various stakeholders are involved. We actually see, customer actually see the PG product, which is, we call it as a detergent. So here you can see there are various sub suppliers, organizations are involved. Finally this plastic producer is giving to detergent, chemical producer is also supplied to detergent manufacturer, and then this way this cycle goes on. So this is the way the supply chain actually works. And let us take an example of Dell supply chain also. So you people have heard nowadays Dell is now selling their product through through stores, through big stores. Initially when they started their business, they were focusing on selling the product directly to the customer, right? So customer were giving order either on the phone or the website, and Dell plant, after receiving the order, right, they are procuring masterboard, hard disk or RAM, which is actually used for making a computer. So they were coming to the Dell assembly plant. The customer was giving an order, and then from that plant it is a direct shipment to the customer as per the requirement. So their business entity was like that. There is no stakeholders involved, like there is no stakeholders, like we can say not retailer, distributor, or in between agents are not involved in the final when they started their business. So that means the finally the quote is coming to directly to the customer. Now with the competition or with the advanced technology, Dell is also started addition of their business to uh, with the stores also, right? So if we go to the store, we see there are various kinds of computers are also available in the stores, including Dell. So this is another scenario of supply chain management, where how it is to be designed. We will see the various phases as we move ahead. So it depends upon the how organization want to run their business to gain the profitability. So the more stakeholders will be there, so there will be more cost addition, there will be more facility required, that product will be getting costlier when it reaches to the customer. So what things to be taken so that finally product goes to the customer as a competitive price. So that is a need of an hour. So the latest technologies will serve us, I will explain later on. So now what is the flow in the supply chain? So here there is a supplier stage, right? I already told you. Finally, product goes to the customer. So what it goes from supplier to customer stage, there are various other stages are involved, already explained. So there is a flow of information, right? About the product, about the features of the product, right? About the the competitive level. Everything is goes from this to this stage. Also the product is also moving in two stages, because how it is to be done. See, whenever we are giving product from supplier stage to customer stage, there are sorry, let us first conclude with information, right? We are giving product to supply customer, right? So customer give the feedback, so we are getting the reverse information. Customer are giving their uh, their requirement for the features which is to be incorporated in the product depending upon the market scenario, it is giving an information. So information is also two-way here. In the supply chain system, there is always a flow of two ways information system in the supply chain management. Similarly, the product is also moving from supplier stage to customer stage and customer stage to supplier stage. So very surprisingly, how customer is a flow of product to the supplier stage, it happens. Why, how and why? Because when a product which is delivered to the customer, there is a problem in the product, customer returns that product to the dealer, to supplier, finally to the OEMs, right? It goes. Sometimes whenever there is a product which is not meeting the quality or some defect, some malfunctioning in the product, manufacturer recalls that product, right, from the customer, either at the customer end or either at the warehouses which is available. So there is a flow, right? There is a reverse flow also from supplier stage to customer stage and also from customer stage to supplier stage. But paisa jo hai wo, it comes from customer stage to supplier stage. Fund flows from customer because they are buying our product, they are in terms of giving money to us. So there is a fund flow only from customer to supplier. So information flow is two-way, product flow is two-way, fund flow is only in one direction. So these are the flow happens in the supply chain management. So already we have discussed this complexity, right? There is a supply chain web. We call it as a supply chain web. Probably most accurate to use the term supply chain network. So supplier, manufacturer, distributor, retailer, customer. Similarly, 2-line, 3-line, they all are integrated with each other. So these are complexity. It makes the supply chain system more complex. Initially, when we started, it was looking to very simple, from mines to steel plant to supplier to manufacturer to distribution center to customer. It was very simple. But when we see supply chain system is very complicated, very complex system. So need over to revamp this system or to reduce the complexity by using latest technology, which is the hot topic of today, right? So these are the global now. Again, what has become very small, the product is moving from we are not only confined to national market, right? When our organization want to get a profit, they are competing at globally, right? So there are features because everybody has to compete globally in this era of competition. So what we need to do when we talk about the global scenario, there is a raw material, there is a component or network, production network, exporting network comes into picture. So there is a one stakeholder also comes into it, right? And then finally, when we go to at global level, we need to mitigate the requirement, whether it is government regulations at that country or whether it is environmental or social regulations. So we need to see that how to meet it. So another, when we compete at the global level, it creates a system more complicated. When when it becomes more complicated, that means we need to redefine something. We need to see into a global level how the supply chain system can be made more easier or effective or efficient. So I'm not going to read. This is one of the example of an apparel industry, how the raw materials comes from various suppliers, and finally the various outlets, various departmental stores, various merchandisers which they are selling the product. So nowadays I was discussing with one of the client from USA when I was in the International Tractors Limited. They are exporting actually tractors to US market. So they have their site like Amazon in India or Amazon worldwide. They are selling their product to tractor. Nobody can imagine a tractor which is a product which is selling at this site, right? So the customer taking the information, all the information of the product from the site, and they're ordering online to buy a tractor. So very surprisingly, this is actually scenario when this technology is getting more and more advanced, right? So customer also looking into that. So now they are exhibiting various types of tractors on the network site, and the customer goes there, read the features, whatever the feature suits to us, suits to customer, depending upon the cost or other features they are looking for, and they give an order. So very surprisingly, this concept of this customer requirement has changed with this technological advancement. So of course, this was a brief about supply chain. Hope it's understood to all of us. If there is any question till now, anybody can ask for 1 or 2 questions. Otherwise, I will move ahead. If there is any doubt, something or sort of.
Participants, any kind of doubt? Any questions, any queries?
Till now. Okay, so let's move. So see, of course, as I've told you earlier also, we need to optimize. As we know that there are various, stakeholders are involved in this process of supply chain.
Sir, I guess there is a someone has written in chat box. Maneet ma'am, you have a query, please.
I think a chat box message will read at the end of the session, ma'am. So I will
Okay.
reply all the queries.
So she has a question that how supply chain helps in controlling climate change.
Okay, we'll cover up.
Okay.
So sustainability part, we'll see that.
Okay, sir.
So of course, the objective of supply chain is to minimize cost, because all the various stakeholders are involved in this process of value addition, right? So costs are involved at every stages, whether when we talk about the operational processes as well as the facility planning or some transporting cost. So objective of supply chain is to reduce cost, minimize cost. Of course, the customer is looking for competitive quality product from any of the manufacturer. And definitely in today's scenario, we look about customer satisfaction is very important. I recall these 2-3 examples. Normally in all of the session, it moves like a song, Samsung story, as well as you can say the Maruti story. When in 1984, Maruti, when it was launched in India, that was Maruti 800, which was the only one of the car which is accepted by us, all of us, right? They dominated industries so many years, right? So with 85 or 90% of market share when Maruti started their business. Till now they have 50% market share, but many dominant customers are also in place. They are competing with that, with new technology, because at technology is advancing, we are moving into EV now. So Mahindra and Mahindra, Tata Motors, Hyundai, there are many cars. So what it need to be do? Customer satisfaction is required because competition is there. So we need to see that our supply chain should be effective. It should be cost effective as well as the quality, so that in order to satisfy the customer. Of course, there are risks involved at the various stages of supply chain, because nobody knows what actually happened next day. COVID is a very classic example. Disruption happened when COVID. Unnatural, natural calamities also happen, like flood and all these things that may affect supply chain. Of course, there are technologies which are coming out to be like government is focusing on green supply chain. So everything should be practices at green level, right? When we talk about greenery, for example, we are taking material. I'm just covering the sustainability part here also. So let us take an example of say wooden packing. Say the material which is coming from supplier to sub supplier to supplier to OEM, they are using packaging. So we are converting that packaging which are giving an adverse environmental effect, changing that packaging, right? Polythenes are not being used anywhere else. Plastic bags is a classic example. So we are using paper bags or something like that. So this way, the whole scenario, when whatever the things which we are using, every process, there is adverse impact on supplying. In every of the process, we are taking actions, right? So industries focusing, right? For example, let us take an example of the environmental norms in the automobiles. Now how EV is involved, because there is no pollution. There is very less pollution. BAS6 standard is already available in cars. Even I was surprised when I was in international tractor. when I joined this company, they started with a stage 5, technology. I was surprised why this is stage 5. So when I dig into that, I found that government is also focusing on the ambition norms on that product, tractor product also. They are using diesels, right? So that cannot be replaced. They are using diesels and then some methanol as well as the urea. They are adding into that concept, and they are using they are reducing the emission. So means at every stage where we are using any of the equipments, resources, we need to see that how we can, with an alternative, solutions, how we can reduce uh, the adverse impact, which how we can reduce the, the things which are creating environmental impact. So already things are going on, various sustainability goals, either in industry or academia. Government is also putting a lot of things to work on the sustainability. So all these processes we need to map it, and we need to see how this environmental impact can be mitigated. So this is very important aspect to make a climate pollution free, right? So this we need to see that. Of course, operational activities involved in this whole scenario, because we are producing product in the, in the manufacturing unit. So of course, the various processes which are involved with the manufacturing unit, it should be environmental free, right? So the focusing, because when I did my PhD, it was on lean and green manufacturing. So we worked upon water consumption, we worked upon energy consumptions, right? We worked upon carbon emission reduction. So uh, this I already worked on that. So organizations are also looking into that, how to reduce it, because there are government regulations is also there to reduce all these things. And then of course, when we look into the environmental impact or to achieve the sustainability, so all the processes which are involved in the manufacturing unit, organizations are putting a lot of things to reduce pollutions and carbon emissions. Of course, flexibility is very important aspect. Whatsoever the customer, because customer choices and preferences are always changes with time, and then new choices comes into picture. So the organization capability, when I will cover up later on the capability of the supply chain, right? Once, so all these industry 4.0 technologies will help to increase the capability of the supply chain also, right? So flexibility should be there in the supply chain, right? And then of course, there are various stakeholders are involved. So one of the resilience in the supply chain is to have a clear cut communication between all the stakeholders. It is very, very important. If there is a communication barrier within the stakeholder, the objective of supply chain will not be able to meet, right? So I have written one of the paper on supply chain resolution. This is one of the driving factor which comes into picture: collaboration and, and communication, and trust between the firms, adopt adoptive capability within the firms. These all are the resilience factors which creates a supply chain more effective, right? So these are the critical drivers uh, which helps us to, make a supply chain more effective. And of course, customer is demanding, in the shortest period of time. Days are gone when customers were able, when customers, they have the patience to wait for the product, right? Nobody is now looking for waiting for the product, unless and until the product is of exceptional quality with the with the less cost. So we need to see that how to reduce the lead time of the product, right from, the product which is entering into the organizational premises and product which is delivered to the customer. So this is, we call it as a lead time. So lead time reduction should be a main motto of supply chain management in order to create a resilience. So traditional supply chain is of course we are working on now digitization. So till the time we are in India, especially, we are a developing country, right? So traditional supply chain still is working. So many of the organizations, they are, they are very cost effective, right, in terms of their supply chain management. Only the thing is that what are the inefficiencies are happening in the all the processes, they actually we need to curtail it to make it more objective, to make it more flexible. So this is basically an objective of supply chain. So important thing is that we the organization need to see to make the to manage the company well, also to manage the company and company's partners and partners, right? So all the stakeholders are involved in the process, right? So important thing is, if I as a company Maruti, I have to manage my supply chain. Of course, I have to manage my supply chain along with the supplier partner supply chain. So then only when these all entities involved, all the stakeholders involved in this process, then only it can be more objective, it can be more efficient, it can be more responsive. So organization need not only to work their own supply chain, but also the stakeholders which are involved to make a complete system in place. Also, there is a changing nature of competition. So there is a competition. This is very important aspect, right? So here the company as well as the competitor. So here I've written as mines steel plant, same it is written here also. So here customer, there is a one sub company, there is another company. So I've written the same things in the same material in the boxes. Here I'm talking about there is a one company, there is another company, but customer is same for both the company. So what is an important thing is, in this company, let us say this one company, what is the supply chain system, and in another company, what is a supply chain system. So here the organizations are not competing with their competitors. The organizations are competing, sorry, the supply chains are also competing with their supply chains. So here it is very important aspect. Customer is same for both the companies. So what makes a difference, right? What makes a competitive, what gives a competitive advantage to one organization in meeting the customer demand? The company who are who are who are managing their supply chain well. So important thing is that the apparatus can only be obtained when we are definitely managing our supply chain effectively. So of course, when we are managing supply chain effectively, customer is very happy with our product. Customer is buying our product. What will happen? The maximum overall value will be created in the organization. So what is that value? See, in the supply chain system, we are spending some money, right? Some money, there is money to make a supply chain system, and of course, the final product which is worth to the customer is paying for that. So what is supply chain value? Supply chain value is expenditure minus the things which we are getting from the customer. This difference we talks about to the supply chain value. Of course, there are various stakeholders are involved. So what we need to do, whatsoever the money which we are getting from the customer, let us take one example. I'm going to buy a car, right? So I paid say 10 lakhs rupees to buy a car. So I am paying 10 lakh rupees to retailer, right, or distributor. So distributor is of course definitely they are getting some profit for selling this car to me, and then distributor has taken that car from either directly from the manufacturer or from the warehouse. So it will definitely transfer for buying the car from the warehouse or the manufacturer. That means that money will go back to warehouses or money will go back to manufacturer. Of course, manufacturer will give that money to their supplier and supplier to give their sub supplier. So here the money, as I told in the very early slides, that funds flow from customer to supplier stage, right? So means all the profit which are happening at all the stages, that is to be shared at all the stages of the supply chain. This is very simple concept, but it is very important concept. Funds are transferring from customer to, and it is giving to the supply chain, right? So supply chain management is a management of flow actually between the supply chain stages to maximize their supply chain profitability. Now, someone was asking in one of my lecture, the profit will be equally distributed. Of course, there will be equally distributed, but who will make a maximized profit? Those stays have a minimum, expenditure. For example, a warehouse which is not managing well their system, they are, the land cost or rent something is very higher. They are not managing properly system. They are not getting type of information. The fund will come to that particular warehouse, but if their information is not correct, if their information is not correct, then what will happen? The fund will come to that particular warehouse, but if their information is not correct, then what will happen? to make a maximize profitability in their own entirety, right? It is not a responsibility of the customer is only paying the final amount, but when it goes to the backtrack to the supplier stage, the maximum profit who gains, who manage well the supply chain system. So value is correlated to the supply chain profitability at all the stages. So let us take one of the example. A customer purchase a wireless router from the Best Buy, say 60 rupees. So supply chain cost incurs, say there is a information convey, it add cost. There is a produce component, storage, transportation. So difference between 60 rupees as some of the cost, which is attained in the supply chain, that will give you a supply chain value, right? So the success should be measured by the supply chain surplus, how much value, how much money we are generating, not profit at an individual stage. For example, a manufacturing unit is doing well, okay, fine. Warehouse is not doing well, the retailer or distributor is not doing well. So manufacturing company is giving a some margin, because manufacturing company is selling the product at some price, right, to the distributor, and then finally they are taking first profit at the manufacturing stage. For example, let's say 30% profit, and then finally the next 20-30% will be distributed to all. So means we need to create a supply chain surplus. Not success of this supply chain whole management system is to generate a supply chain surplus, right? So customer is the only source of revenue, and costing, we are advertising, we are flowing information, we are flowing product, right? So on all the stages. So basically, effective supply chain management system involve all the supply chain assets, product information, fund flow to grow the supply chain surplus. So this we need to maximize. This we need to see that how it can make it more effective, right? So uh, let us see that evolution of supply chain management. We are in now at 4.0, right? There was a revolutionary era of digitization. First revolution start with in 1920s, where there was single product, there was no product variety, there was a vertical integration one side. When 60 70, wide variety, something up, a long term relation with the suppliers was one of the concept. Third revolution 95 to current, not current, because 95 2000 it changed actually after 2000 and beyond. So I just talked about Dell computer. They were producing the customized product to the customer, and suppliers have to maintain the technology and cost leadership. Now what today, we'll see that we see that what today is a era of we have seen that there was a initially, when we talk about 50s, there was a traditional manufacturing, mass manufacturing. In 70s 80s there were inventory management, people focusing on cost optimization. The era of 80s and 90s, there was a business process engineering, just in time. Still these are persisting, right? TQM is persisting, JIT is persisting. Reengineering concept, people are now designing their manufacturing system or the supply chain system in a lean way. So reengineering is not required, more or less, because it came in 90s. When I was in a Scots, we did this project of re-engineering. There was a product type layout, we converted into process type layout. We got a lot of use of advantages in terms of converting that process layout, right? So earlier all the industries, when we see Mandra or some sort of old industries, they were all based upon the product. All right. So now 20s, there was a supply chain formation. Now what next? Now what is a saturation? Now here comes out to be saturation, right? So now important is that in order to optimize the supply chain, right, profitability, we need to increase the capability of the supply chain. So capability of the supply chain at certain level of point is okay, but capability of the supply chain can be improved with the technological innovation. Now traditional way of saturation has come, right? So the thing is that we are now in this era, we are now increasing the capability of the total system, total scenario. So here, this way, the supply chain management involved. So there are some decisions, right? These are decisions faced in the supply chain. Decision in terms of designing. It is very, very, this is one of the, important aspect. Structure of the supply chain strategy, structure of the supply chain and supply chain strategy is one of the driver in order to create a resilience in the supply chain system, right? Supply chain planning and supply chain operation. So three things are important. When we talk about designing, means when we talk about the designing the structure of the supply chain, what we need to see, what are the location, what are the capacity of the facilities which are available, what are the product to be made and stored at which location, what should be the mode of the transport we should use, to make it more effective, what type of information system is required. So now the time is that this actually things already exist, right? But here we are now in the era of digitization. We need some informations, right? We need quick informations, what would be the beneficial things. So all these new technologies that provides us that type of information system very quickly. So designing is an important aspect. Second is policy. Policy means which market will be supplied to which location. This is also an effective, decide the effectiveness of the supply chain. We need to plan buildup of inventories, right? So that we will be able to meet customer requirement. Backup locations, if something goes wrong, we also have a plan B. So backup location is also required. There should be some inventory policy should be there. So here we talk about the traditional system, right? So here 2 days is the time when we talk about JIT. 2 days is the time we see that customer gives an order, we should supply. So we should work on the JIT. We should give information. There should be a control system that is in need of an over, right? So here the policy should be there. Of course, the policies is required, but how to optimize this inventory? Because inventory carry a cost. We are keeping an inventory at some cost, right? So we should minimize the inventory, and definitely what are the timing and size of the market promotion. So 2 days all the product which comes to the market, you market promotion is a prominent thing nowadays. Now, decision about operations. Now, definitely, operations is an important aspect for converting raw material into finished product. So important is that uh, we are getting order from the customer. Manufacturing unit is producing the order. There should be some policies, right? And then whether we have to see that supply chain monitoring through daily basis or weekly basis. There should be effective policy operating policies, so that there should be an operating daily work management. What are the orders which you have to to due date we have to set orders. So all these things we have to see that there should be a short time horizon which very very less uncertainty in the system. So here in this way we need to design our supply chain operations. So when we talk about the decision, so how to keep it inventory, where should be my supply chain location, how can I reduce my delivery route cost without reducing visit frequency also, right? So how can I uh, inside to my sale team to reduce my cost? What is the most profitable route plan? Route plan is a very important aspect which now with technology's advancement, it gives us a route plan, right? So what should be the best route actually? As we see in the Google, right? When we are going somewhere else, it gives a very effective and shortest route plan. So similarly in the supply chain also, this all new technologies, new technological advancement, it provides us route plan. It's a very important aspect actually. What activities based upon customer and supply channels. So these are the decisions actually in the supply chain. Hope it is clear up to this point. If there is any doubt, anybody can ask. Okay. So there is a two types of process in the supply chain. We talk in cyclic view and we talk it as a another is the push pull view. So here again my concept remains the same. This will mine, steel plant, all these things. So here supplier is procuring material, right? And manufacturing cycle is going on. Replenishment cycle is going on, distributor and retailer, and customer cycle. We call it a cyclic view of the supply chain. So here every cycle occurs at two interface, right? There is a this one interface, again there is a one interface, again there is a one interface, again there is a one interface. So these are four interfaces, right? So we talk about the customer retailer interface, replenishment cycle, in there is a retailer distributor interface, manufacturing cycle there is a distributor. So here we're talking about from downstream to upstream. So basically all the process which are involved, all the owners of the process, it specifies roles and responsibility to each member so that desired outcome could be achieved. So this is a cyclic view of supply chain. So we talk about all the processes. When we talk about the customer retailer, we talk about customer arrival, customer order entry, customer order fulfillment, customer order receiving. When this trigger comes, so here, so customer order triggers comes, the retail entry starts. So it all system is there. Today is also there, but here the new technologies provides us a more competitive advantage. We'll see that later on. So distributor, manufacturer, again there is a various processes are involved in the procurement cycle. Also manufacturer and supplier all. So means all these suppliers should also link with the production schedule. So this actually goes on nowadays also. But something if certain disruption happens, what will how the supply chain will come out, we'll see that. So here let us move to the push-pull view. So here in this case we talk about the supply chain in two categories. There is a push segment and there is a pull segment. When there is a push segment, means the manufacturer is producing product and they are pushing the product to store in the warehouse. Whenever the customer order will come, it will supply. It happens in the supply chain. Let us take an example of a refrigerator, right? So there is a push segment, right? So they produce more at the winter, right? In anticipating that customer order will come in the summer, will be able to supply AC or refrigerator. So there's a push type of segment, push type of supply system. That means they are pulling in anticipation of the customer order. They are pushing in anticipation of the customer order. Let us take an example of say winter. We can take an example of woolen, right? So there's a push segment of supply chain, right? And then pull segment means the customer is giving an order. Customer is giving an order and we are fulfilling the customer orders as per the requirement. So here we cannot keep more of the cars, right, pushing in the warehouses with the largest inventory. Order will come, the customer will buy the car. No. So this supply chain is not effective. Only that supply chain, which is seasonal supply chain, that works basically better on the push process. Whenever the consumer product requirement, customer order gives like that. So it's a pull process. Customer is pulling and we are fulfilling the order. So here the order arrives and then we are doing the customer order cycle, and that is a pull process. So here these are the two way of process. When we talk about the push process, it is a speculation. That means we are anticipating that customer order will come in summer. So let us push some ACs and refrigerator in the warehouse in speculative. But here in the customer order, in the pull cycle, there is a reactive approach of supply chain system. So here is a decision. We need to talk about the decision, strategic decision, the more global view of how supply chain process related to the customer order, right? So customer is ordering, whether we are working, whether our product is in anticipation or whether it is product to be reactive as per the demand, right? So the relative proportion of this pull and push process, they can impact the supply chain performance. So these are the two aspects which also need to be considered. So another also, there is some customer relationship management. This process takes place between an enterprise and customers downstream in the supply chain. Also, there is some internal supply chain management. So all these three systems, supplier relationship management, customer relationship management, and internal management. So there is a fit actually between internal and the supplier. There is a fit. There is a natural fit, because whenever the internal process is taking place, the supplier will supply to the manufacturer. So there is a natural fit. But with the customer and with the internal supply chain management, means from the organization or the total entity to the customer, it is must be a strong integration. If we want to have a good supply system, there should be strong integration between internal supply chain management as well as the customer relationship management. So this is another aspect of supply chain performance. So there are various examples. Jara is a company, right? They worked upon Amazon, we know. Toyota, we know. There are various good companies. Apple, we know. They focus on cost, right? So supply chain focuses on cost or differentiation. So I will cover up how supply chain works, how organization decide their strategies to supply the product to the customer. Decision basically should be made based upon the location, based upon the capacity of the each facility which we have, based upon the flexibility or the dedication market we have. So how much the product it produces and the market any organization which serves. So it depends upon the strategy which organization normally deploy to make their supply system more effective. So designer of the supply chain system decide whether the product will be directly stored to the customer or to the distributor. So this depends upon the supply chain designer. So there is no rule, right? Dell started with direct supply, so it was only selling directly to the customer, so it was more and more effective. Some through sell through the distributor, so it becomes very easy to manage with the distributor because company will not directly come to the customer, so it will be able to more do some innovation in the premises rather than directly interacting with the customer or solving day-to-day problems. So it depends how market we want to serve, how customer we want to serve. So I think it's move to next part. So any question, any query till now? Okay. So now we are moving towards supply chain 4.0. So important aspect is the strategic fit, right? So we have seen various stakeholders. The performance of supply chain basically depending upon the the performance of each entity which are involved in the supply chain system. So there are some strategies. One is the competitive strategy and functional strategy. We all know that profit is equal to revenue minus cost, right? So the more cost is less, revenue is more, the profit will be more. So company decide their competitive strategy in the marketplace. They decide their strategy based upon the differentiation or based upon the efficiency. When we talk about the differentiation, they talk about we will sell our product at a high price whatsoever may be, and some talk about efficiency, the product will be low cost. So we can very easily differentiate here the red by marked with Mercedes, which is Maruti Alto car. Alto car is basically on the efficiency. It's a low cost. Mercedes is a differentiation, high price with less customer, targeting the customer which are able to give such type of buying the product and give they are ready to give the high price. Another example we talk about American Express versus Visa credit card, iPhone versus Micromax is now old. We can take it with another example of phone. So we talk about the competitive strategy, how the supply chain, how the company organization want to compete in the marketplace. So with that competitive strategy, defines the set of the customer which we are going to satisfy with our product and services. This is very important aspect, right? So here we talk about Walmart. Walmart with a high variety of reasonable quality product at the low price, and Dell is a customization, right? So it talks about innovation based upon the customer requirement. Again, there are in-house also there are product development strategies, because these are the functional strategies based upon the competitive strategy. The structure or the functions of the supply chain or the manufacturing unit is designed. For example, product development strategy, marketing and sales strategy, whether we want to sell through a supermarket or direct. Amway and Procter and Gamble is an example. Whether we want to sell over transport over our product to speed post or a regular post. Regular post through Dakana, it gives a less cost. Speed post is a more cost. So high price versus low price. What actually we want to serve the product, we want to serve the customer, that need to decide. So these are the strategy which makes the system more effective, more profitability. So all these functional unit basically they must support each other as well as to the competitive strategy of the organization to to make the system more effective, more profitability. Now, important thing is that all these competitive strategy and the supply chain strategy, there should be strategic fit. If there is not fit, company will fail. Company may fail if the processes, if the resources, they do not provide the capability to execute the strategy organization is looking for. So what we need to do? We need to see that design of the supply chain and all the functional, and units in the supply chain, all the processes and resources, they should execute, they should be chosen, they should be designed in such a way that they should be able to deploy their supply chain strategy very successfully. So strategic fit is very, very important aspect which we need to consider while designing the overall of the supply chain, and each role plays a very important role. If the supply chain, if the strategic fit is not there in the competitive strategy or the supply chain strategy, right, that can result supply chain taking action that are not consistent with the customer need. So what will happen? There will be deterioration in the performance of supply chain, means reduction in the supply chain surplus, there will be decrease in the supply chain profitability. So how this strategy can be achieved? So first we need to understand customer, first we need to understand the supply chain uncertainty, so understanding supply chain capabilities, and definitely we should achieve the fit. So let me take a very simple example. For example, we need to understand the customer, the need of the customer. For example, how much quantity is required customer, there is some uncertainty demand for the product. Response time customer will tolerate. If it is low, then few minutes, few weeks is a very high. Service level required. So these are the demand uncertainty which comes when we talking about understanding the customer and uncertainty. There are some applied demand uncertainty. For example, response time customer will not tolerate. Variety of product required by the customer, the kind of service level required by the customer has changed. The price of the product should be competitive, there should be innovation in the product, right? So all these things is a implied demand uncertainty which is not actually captured by the designer of the supply chain. So we need to see that what are the customer need and what causes the demand supply. If say a customer say lead time should be less, right, is a need, lead time should be less, so that means the implied demand uncertainty that will increase because there is a less time in which react to the order. So what will happen? The customer will go away, the supply chain profitability will less, the supply chain surplus will reduce, supply chain profitability will reduce. So important thing is that we need to see that what are the customer need and what are the causes for that implied uncertainty which need to be taken care of. Latest technology of digitization helps us to reduce this demand uncertainty, right? So we'll understand the capability. So capability means there should be more responsive or either it is cost efficient. Supply chain should be responsive or should be cost efficient. So when we talk about the responsiveness means what the wide range of quantity demanded, the supply chain should be able to respond. They should be able to meet the shortest lead time. They should be able to handle the variety of product. They should be able to build innovation in the product. They should be able to meet the high level of service. They should be able to responsive to with the cost effectiveness. So comes at the cost. Response comes at the cost. So the there is a cost for achieving a responsiveness. So means when we are increasing the responsiveness, we are adding cost. Then efficiency will reduce. So there is a frontier actually. There is a frontier which talks about when which talk about the fixed responsiveness versus the cost. If it is there is a graph which shows that there is a reason when the cost is low, responsiveness is high. Up to some extent, there is inefficiency in that reason. What next if the cost comes low, and response is required high? Right, it can only happen with the help of technology, with the help of increasing the capability, and that digitization is helping us to helping us to reduce cost, more efficient supply chain, and as well as a more responsiveness. So right, so I think it's simple to understand the efficient supply chain versus responsible supply chain. Let me take one of the example Let us take an example of a manufacturing strategy. If there is an efficient supply chain, lower cost through high utilization of the resources, but responsive supply chain maintain the capacity flexibility to buffer against the demand. So we need to have see that whether we want to have a supply chain efficient or responsive at what cost. So up to some extent we can manage both, but up to not a level of extent, we need to build the capability of the supply chain to meet the customer demand. So here we start the strategic fit, right? The degree of supply chain responsible, we need to ensure it should be consistent with the applied uncertainty. Uncertainty will come. The customer choices will keeps on changing. The government regulations will keeps on changing. The global competitions will keep on, increasing. What we need to see that our response should be consistent whatsoever the uncertainty comes into picture, whatsoever the disruption comes into play. We need to be responsive. So we need to assign the role at the different stages of the supply to ensure there should be a level of responsiveness, right? So there should be a strategic fit. So we need to have both capabilities as well as implied uncertainties. So we need to, there are five levers nowadays when we talk about the uncertainty with the basic levers. We should have a capacity, the combination of the access capacity and flexible capacity. We should have an inventory to deal with the uncertainty. Then time, willingness to wait with the customer. Information flow should be very effective. Of course, price of the product and services that vary with the over the time. So in this way we can achieve the strategic fit. But there are drivers which are when we talk about the performance, there should be operational performance, there should be financial performance, right? When we talk about the operational performance, right, it is just like a we are checking the, it's a proactive measure, right? We are checking the ECG food, we're checking the the health of our heart, right? It is like that. So there are drivers which are happening in the supply chain performance. One is the facilities, physical facilities, warehouses, factories, retailers, assembly plants. Inventory, we have raw material inventory, fresh good inventory, and transportation inventory. We call it as a logistical drivers of supply chain performance. So all these have to be effective to make the supply chain performance effective. When we talk about information, we talk about sourcing, we talk about prices. These are the cross-functional drivers of supply chain. So this all works together to make a supply chain effective, right? So important aspect is uh, we need to have a optimum utilization of all these drivers, right? So far, what is the takeaway? Can anybody brief for 2 minutes? What is the takeaway so far? See, nowadays, what are the key challenges in traditional supply chain? There is a poor visibility. When we talk about the poor visibility, we talk about there is a lack of real-time information about inventory level, right? So we are struggling nowadays, and shipment status across the supply chain hindering the decision making. So visibility is one of the challenge in traditional supply chain. दूसरा demand forecasting issue, right? So difficulty in accurately predicting the customer demand, which is resulting to either we are going for overstocking or we are going understocking issues. We have inventory level challenges, maintaining the optimal inventory level to avoid the excess cost while meeting the customer demand. This is a challenge nowadays. Limited adaptability. That means we are unable, traditional supply chain is unable to quickly respond to the changing market condition. There are some manual processes happening nowadays, which creates delays and errors, right? There is a soiled operations, right? Sorry, silos operation, lack of communication or lack of coordination between the various supply chain departments. There is a port congestion, there is a transportation challenges, there are supplier dependencies more, there is a lack of sustainability, right? So difficulty in incorporating environmental friendly practices throughout the supply chain. And of course we are competing with the global level, so geopolitical risk are also in the trades. So how to overcome these challenges is we have to have a implement advanced technology, improve calibration. We need to have optimized demand forecasting. We need to implement the agile strategy, that is to make a flexible supply chain process. We should focus on sustainability in the entire supply chain process, and we should invest in the risk management. So these are some of the barriers in when we talk about. So these are the technologies, right? So digital technologies are available which are helping us to make it more effective. But nowadays there are technological, strategic, legal, and ethical and organizational level barriers. So today I'm not going to cover up, because barriers are of course in the digitization, like country like India, because we are developing countries, right? So here we have local suppliers, unorganized organizations. So these types of technology, so some sort of there is a lack of digital culture is there. Economic benefits we are not also not seeing. There is some financial constraints. There are some lack of expertise. So all these barriers are there. But still these technologies are helping a lot to make a effective supply chain. This one. So what are the industry 4.0 technologies? There are some, everybody is in academy or industry. Industry is not talking about too much, but academia is talking too much about artificial intelligence, right? So big data, robotic, blockchains, AR, VR. We talk about virtual reality or augmented reality. We have digital twins. We have cloud computing, international of things. Of course, 3D printing is in this figure I had shown you at the beginning of the slide also, that makes the system more transparent, make it secure. When we talk about the blockchain technology, that makes you do data privacy is there. When we talk about augmented reality and virtual reality, without seeing the process happen, so we can have a digitally see how the process will happen, right? So we have generated, in Mahindra and Mahindra where I was there, so we had generated 2 3 process as a virtual reality process. So real time data from the connected devices we get. These are the benefit. We get the advanced analytics with the machine learning algorithm, right? Regression analysis and all. So we get the optimized supply chain decision actions. So these technologies are helping us. So we talk about the resilient. What is the supply chain resilience? We talk about that means the supply chain should be able, they should be capable, right, to respond quickly to the operational disruption through the flexible contingency planning and forecasting, flowing material from sourcing to logistic, and finally delivery of the product. Means the essence is that ability to respond very quickly to the operational disruption is a resilient supply chain. So these technologies, industry 4.0 technologies, are helping us to make a system more reliable. So when we talk about the resilient supply chain, is the capacity for the supply chain's ecosystem to recover in case of a disruption, right? So where there is a operational risk, COVID-19 we have seen the example, right? So global impact, there was a supply chain logistic and all suppliers. So some unexpected competition also comes into picture. Some sudden market trends also get changes, right? So this all technologies provides us an quick information about all these trends, so that the organization can be able to apply all these informations into their system to make more resilient system uh, in their business entity, right? So these are the technologies, how it helps, right? Supply chain technology, when we talk about the artificial technology, right? So it provides a deep procedural and operational insight. So predictive analytics and big data analysis, it helps to forecast the risk and demand and recommend actions and responses across the business, right? So which is not very cumbersome in the traditional supply chain. When we talk about the machine learning, it allows the manager to respond more quickly with the best workflows and operational strategies. When we talk about the Internet of Things, right? So how the it combines basically the connected devices and object, and then receive the digital data also. So AI helps us to analyze and interpret the data to form a quick decision. So in order to make a supply chain more profitable, or maybe more resilient, more smarter, quick decision is very important. So artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, that helps us to provide all these things. Additive 3D printing or additive printing we talk about is a temporary, basically, to produce certain product which are on demand without long-term disruption to the normal business process, right? So this helps us to, to protect the supply chain in case of a disruption. And of course, robots and autonomous, things. Robot works very speedily. Efficiency and accuracy of the robots and drones. Drones today are also using very rapidly, to make it more effective. Uh, that will be adopted in the process on demand. That will make the supply chain more resilient, more effective, and to meet the rapidly changing needs of a system. So this also reduce the risk of injury also, because somewhere, because in the organization where I am working, right, we are using welding operations, right? Welding of some of the towel bar which is placed below our seat, right, where in the car, right, we pull it or push it back and forth. So this we call it as a towel bar. We are doing welding operations. So normal welding, MIG welding, or say some sort of sport welding, right? So we have in place robots, right? So with the there is a long wire actually, right? So long wire frames and all these things. So it is very cumbersome for a human being to do all these operations. So the robot helps us to work very efficiently, very speedily, and very accurately, right? So that the quality of the product, and it is repeatedly also the same quality. So this is basically technologies helping us for more efficient and more smarter and more resilient supply chain. Also, with the help of big data, advanced analytics, real-time insights, equipped with modern ERP system. So database can be, modern database can be incorporated, and supply chain technologies can be optimized to run at the faster and more resilient. So three major, benefits when we talk about more efficient operations. Of course, the data is shown in the developed countries where they've implemented these technologies. There is a improved productivity, right? So there is a report from McKinsey, supply chain leaders around the world. The productivity, 93% of the productivity has improved, right? And there is a risk reduction in terms of visibility, in terms of risk, in terms of, complexity, that empowering the business to be more optimized, more adaptable, and more logistically in a real-time situation. So thank you from my side for today's session. So any question? It's a time to throw query. So should I go in chat box? Why did not local manufacturer be promoted? Yeah, we are equipping with the, any business entity works with the not only OEMs, right? Local supplier are also working, but the country like India, we have a problem. We have a problem. We have a problem of investment. We have a problem of mindset, right? We have a problem of, the OEMs, and we're talking about digitization across the world. But 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 important thing is that local manufacturing are also changing their mindset, because every entity is linked together. If suppose Maruti is, completely digitized, right? So their suppliers should be digitized up to some extent, right? Otherwise they will lose the business, and it is happening also. So means it's very important aspect is that the mindset of the people are changing. It will take time in India, to adopt completely the digitized technology in the manufacturing systems. Or you can also visualize when we go to hospital. It is not only supply chain related to, manufacturing system we talked about today. It is related to, any of the sector, whether we go to the banking sector or healthcare sector. These all are the, processes are taking place. There is a flow of information, there is a flow of product there, and then we are serving to customer, whether it is manufacturing unit or whether it is service unit, right? So everything we are talking about the digitized, the process are becoming so digitized, right? So even we are not keeping cash nowadays, right? So we are using UPIs, to transfer the money, or so this is the technological, we are equipping with the technology, we are adopting the technology. But of course, in India, like developing countries, it will take time to adopt all these things. Of course, in years to come, we'll see that this advancement of this technology in our country scenarios. We already know climate clock is alerting mode. Manufacturing industry, yeah, of course, manufacturing industries are taking a lot of measures, uh, lot of measures to reduce carbon emission, because there is a pressure from the government side also, right? So of course, we have organized unorganized scenario in our country. So some unorganized units are also, under auditing, under scrutiny, for they are not adopting the environmental regulations. So things are changing, things will change. So we'll definitely in years to come we'll see that in India it will take time. Of course, not too much of time, but when we talk about globally, they are they are transforming their business entity. Absolutely, I was reading one of the information. Anand Mendra, as floated in X. They have invested 4,500 crores for EV manufacturing in Chakan plant. So these days are now to come. You will see the EVs there in the market, and over Indian manufacturers like Tata Motors already, Nexon is already there. Maruti is keeping their plant in Khargoda that will make only EVs cars, right? Mahindra is on EVs. So after 3 to 4 years, we'll see EVs on the market. So there will be less pollution. So definitely, when we talk about the EVs, right? So there will be, all the processes will be green, supplies will be green. So working on that, India is working on that. So you will see years to, uh, coming years, you will see a lot of change in India also in terms of manufacturing. Health sector, you have already seen. You go to any of the good hospital, you see how the process digitization is taking place to reduce, with the less time in queues, doctors meeting and all. So working on that, people are working on that, people are changing, mindsets are also changing. So we need to see that. So yeah, any question from student side or scholars who have joined here? Any query, any inquisities?
So,
There are 103 people are here. So no question.
uh,
How to manage electrical electronics waste of EV? A very good question. Right. So, as compared to only battery will be there, right? So the policies are coming nowadays. Nowadays, this is very good question. See, electrical waste or electronic waste is also one of the very good uh, question. See, we are in the process of transforming from diesel vehicle or petrol vehicle to EV vehicles, right? So battery is the main, uh, source of EV vehicle, right? It's a waste, right? So, but nowadays, the companies are working on the policy matter in terms of EVs. When semiconductor will also come, they will also make some policies will there. So currently, government has the regulations. I was reading one of the article. The EV's life is 10 years for any vehicle. Oh, sorry, the battery life is one of the waste. Its life is 10 years for a vehicle. After that, it will be disposed. So certain regulations yet to come on this aspect, right? So disposing currently electrical electronic waste in the current scenario, they are disposing after 15 years or 10 years for diesel vehicle, and then it will be disposed to Kabadi, and it will be waste will be taken out. But now EVs for that, yet the system need to come. It will come definitely when this advancement will happen in India. the policies and systems and research will come into picture, how to manage the waste of EVs actually. So it is uh, early to say about all these things.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, please.
Sir, recently we have seen many scenarios that the batteries are getting exhausted. Like it is dangerous also. Some are getting burned. We are shifting so much to electronics that like vehicles, they are getting burned off.
Mhm.
So what is the use then? We are not giving 100% safety or something like that.
You're talking about existing vehicle or EV vehicles?
Exist EV vehicles, sir. We
EV
have seen
vehicles.
2 or 3 blasting of the vehicles or of the car or like that.
Mhm. See, I was, this question is very interesting, but the statistics says that in EV vehicles, especially, I just relate your questions to Ola Electric, right? So the scooty and all these things, they are creating a nuisance, right? We have not seen any such kinds in Nexon. When we talk about Tata Motors car in Nexon, these types of things are not happening. So Ola introduced their, vehicle in a very rapidly way to capture the market. So they have not given the proper R&D. They have not given any, systematic approach to, their vehicle, and that is creating a problem. Now, there is something, government pressure on Ola to shut down their businesses. So specifically Ola, when you see other vehicles, you see EV scooters of Bajaj, you see EV scooters of Hero Motors, Nexon, there is no such a problem. So government regulations on EVs and how to manage batteries and all these things, they're also taking place. Taking an example of actually Ola scooters, scooties and all these things, that put us in danger way, right? So I think as the things will come into the picture, EVs will capture the market. So all these regulations will come into picture.
Yes, so quality do matter then.
Quality do matters, specifically R&D do matters, because in India, what we normally our mindset is that I given one of the example of ITL tractors when I joined this export unit, right? So I was telling initially also when I started my lecture, they introduced stage 5 tractors, right? There that was emission norms. So government of India is now at we are at the stage 4 tractors, right? So वी इन जैसे अब कारों में बोलते हैं BS6, उसमें ट्रैक्टर्स के अंदर नॉर्मल टर्मिनोलॉजी है टर्म 4. सो टर्म 4 के अंदर अभी हम हैं आज के टाइम में. सम ट्रैक्टर्स आर इन टर्म 3, सम ट्रैक्टर्स आर इन टर्म 4. इज वी
So
कॉल इट
Nalika have
ट्रैक्टर.
term 4. Nalika do have term 4 also.
हाँ, टर्म 4 नहीं, दे हैव टर्म 5 आल्सो नाउ.
Term 5 also, yes.
Term 5 also, because we have introduced that tractor, right? So when I was there, so term 5 was introduced. We call it as a stage 5 tractor, right? So what happened to that? The so in order to capture the market, right? So what the business, the Sonalika model is like that. They introduce the product in a very, rapid way without giving, deeply R&D in the system. So they introduce the product. So what happens to that? The business model is that we will introduce the product in the market. We will capture the market as Sonalika has come first in, in the market with the stage 5. Approximately, I remember that when we sold 100, say 1,000 tractors in the market, all we recalled because of these burning issues. Right? So their retrofitment was done, then there was a lot of R&D happened. So some of the organizations, they have their, mindset. They have their business model. If we have to introduce first, we will capture market later on. First, let us introduce in the market, we'll see later on. Ola did like this. Sonalika stage 5 tractors like this. So but when we see Mahindra, we have seen many tractors. Once they introduce in the market, it is foolproof. Nothing will happen. They keep go a lot of R&Ds, mileage, customer requirement, everything they do with a complete research and field testing before introduce the market. So it depends upon how our systems, how our supply chain system, manufacturing system, or our business, philosophy works, business model. Actually, every organization have their own business model to make a profit. So Nalika is still successful because they are introducing, model to model, model to model. Initially, nowadays companies companies are changing a very fast way. You have seen, let us take an example of Mahindra. Earlier, there was only Bolero and Scorpio. Scorpio was there, right? So now they are introducing with, a lot of things, KUV 100, XUV 300, XUV 700, then EVs are coming. So what is going on? It's, customer requirement. It's in order to compete the market, they have to design their system in such a way. So they have to adopt the technology. So I was, reading that article from Anand Mahindra. The requirement for EVs plant is 16,000 complete digitization plant. Roboting and all, everything will be digitized. So initially they have, allotted 4500 crore budgets for EV plant, and then later they will expand. So it will be a complete change. Maruti in Khargoda, Sonipat, they are introducing their EV plant, completely change digitized plant. So the things are changing, because once the Maruti or Mahindra will change, their supplier need to change. Otherwise, they will have to shut their business if they are not able to align with the philosophy of the OEMs. They are introducing digitization.
So thank you. Is required. Okay. For the wonderful session.
Okay.
Sir, I think it was a very nice session. Sir, am I audible?
Yeah, audible.
Yeah, so this is Dr. Anmol Saxena from NIT Delhi. Sir, I have a question, like when we talk of setting up the infrastructure for EV charging stations, one thing that comes to my mind is that a very enthusiastic program of piped natural gases to replace LPG was put in place. But still, that was started almost 10 to 15 years ago. But still, after so many years, these are limited only to metro cities or some Y-class cities. Still, it has to penetrate to lower cities.
CNGs also,
right?
Na?
So do you think that EV charging stations will have that rapid pace to penetrate into small cities as well?
Yeah. It will happen. It will happen because it depends upon the government's commitment and government policies. Once our local industries, Indian industries like Mahindra and Maruti is coming, Tata is our local brand, Indian brand. If they are digging into that, that means they are aligned with the government policies. So things will change, things will happen. All these charging stations will come out to be at the at villages level, but it will take time. We can see in 2035 this scenario will all change. So government, I think I was seeing that Nitin Gadkari's statement that by 2030, so 60% of the Indian market will captured by the EVs, right? So definitely if the commitment is there, regulations will come. Now till now, Mr. Anmol, we are depending upon petrol, diesel as well as CNG. So CNG is now confined to metro cities. They are not penetrated to the local cities, because we are using all these three resources, right, for our vehicles, right? So they are a combination of petrol and diesel, CNG and petrol. So all these are happening. So once we will reduce our dependency or on all these things, on diesel and petrol, so E will come into picture. Now it is hydrogen. We are building for the sustainability. So government is also working upon the using of hydrogen also. So all these things will happen. We'll see years to come.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir, for your comment.
So thanks a lot. If there is no any questions, so let us wind up. So thank you very much for patience listening for 2 hours. So 1.5 hours, more than that.
I extend
Over to Ripple, ma'am.
I extend a heartfelt gratitude to you, sir, for your for delivering such an insightful session. Hope that your wisdom will guide us, many more of us, towards a fresh perspective and growth. Thank you so much for joining us today, sir, and
Thank you.
sparing your valuable time for us. Thank you.
Thank you.